And yet Mirvish has incredibly successfully, he's now running 4 or 5 theaters in Toronto, and his ticket prices are not in the $50 range. They're in the $95 to $195 range, and he fills the theaters. Well, I don't know if he fills, but he gets people just as you're describing. They come, they're in, okay. What musical are we seeing this year, dear? We're going to X musical. He's made that happen, whereas Tarragon's audiences are, it's a challenge for some of the other theaters. And I often wonder what Mirvish's magic is. Is that just, what is that?
Well, I mean, he's a commercial operation, so his magic has to look to the bottom line, and how he does that is taking shows that people have heard of. They want to see, I mean, I just read somewhere Lion King is coming back. They want to see the Lion King or whatever. I must say that one thing that I feel the Arts Club was blessed with the fact that we did not have a Mirvish. Yes, we had Drabinsky for a few years, and then he failed, right?
Right.
So even though we do get touring shows, they usually come through in shorter runs, like a week, maybe 10 days to 2 weeks at most. But we don't have, I mean, Vancouver is, of course, nothing like the size of Toronto. And Toronto can have an ecosystem of other theaters like Tarragon and Soul Pepper or what have you. But when Drabinsky proposed building a theater here, I was worried. And when his first show, I think it was Showboat, opened, basically our phones stopped ringing because everybody wanted to go to Showboat. Everyone wanted to see this new theater. But once the bloom of it, wore off, and also the fact that I think he somewhat underestimated what they call the catchment area. I think he somehow thought people would drive up from Seattle to see a show. Well, no, Seattle has its own, its own theater ecology. So people weren't going to drive from Seattle just to see a show.
And
at one of
Drabinsky, because he built what was the name of the theater he built?
Well, it ended up being the Ford Theater.
The Ford Theater,
yeah,
which is now a gospel hall.
It's now owned by a religious group.
Another kind of theater, dare I say?
Yeah, I would think so. The theater hasn't been altered because there's a ballet company that actually uses it as a theater.
And how long was Drabinsky before it all fell apart for him?
I think 4 years, maybe. Yeah, I think he opened in '97. Maybe up to 2001 or whatever. 2000.
Did you ever talk to him?
Oh yeah. He came to Vancouver and he entertained us all and wanted us all to be part of his great. He felt, big ships lift everybody, and that we were all going to benefit because once people, and there is a certain truism to that if people went to Showboat, maybe they'd come and look at what the Arts Club was doing.
So
I don't know.
Garth would pull you all to
to the rest of us, really. And I think he just wanted to be he didn't want to look like he was an interloper.
And he was a Toronto guy.
And he's a Toronto guy.
And he's in Vancouver.
Yeah, so he is an interloper. Yeah, we all treated him like a Toronto guy. There was no...
You're treating me now.
There was nothing, we all listened to him and say, yeah, fine. We drank his wine and then went home. Yeah.
And what did you do when you said, when he opened, your phones went quiet? What did you do when your phones went quiet?
Well, we had to make sure that whatever shows we had playing were not, that we could afford them, that if sales dropped off, well, basically we had to depend on our subscribers, that our subscribers weren't abandoning us. Some did, but, like any competition. I mean, Vancouver, when Chris Newton was running the Playhouse, and he lasted more than 2 years, when he was running the Playhouse, he said his biggest competition was skiing in the winter and sailing in the summer. So the players never played in the summer, but he felt that one of his biggest competition was the weather, that it was mild, people would go off and, you know, bike and run or whatever, that trying to get them into a theater, that was his competition. And there's certain truth in that. But on the other hand, you know, people can only, you know, they can only ski so much or sail so much, and other times maybe they do want to come to the theater. But that certainly was one of his feelings about Vancouver, that he didn't feel it was a naturally, culturally inviting place.
And in your mix of audience, what balance did you like between subscriber tickets and walk-up tickets?
I don't know if I can answer that. We certainly never got 100% of the audience being subscribers, but I would say maybe 50%
Right.
of what you would expect on an average 4.5-week run. 50% would be maybe subscribers, and then you'd have to sell the rest as single tickets.